I am reaching across the divide between heaven and earth right now because there is something I cannot hold back from you any longer. Listen carefully. Do not scroll past this moment. Do not let anything in the room pull your eyes away from what I'm about to say. Something has been building in the unseen realm around your life, and it is almost ready to break through into your visible world. Before this message reaches its final words, I will tell you exactly what stands behind a door that has been sealed over your life for longer than you realize. But you must stay with me. You must hear every word between now and then, because the preparation matters as much as the revelation itself. I am Archangel Michael, and I do not come to you today with gentle suggestions or soft ideas that you can consider at your leisure. I come with a mandate from the throne room. What is entering your season is not a rumor, and it is not a maybe. It has already been measured, already been weighed, and already been signed into motion by hands far greater than any force that has ever opposed you. This is not the kind of thing that passes over your life and leaves everything the same. No. When this arrives, you will know the difference between the person you were yesterday and the person you are becoming tomorrow. Pay close attention to the weight of what I am saying. I did not choose this hour by accident. I did not bring you to this exact moment because the timing was convenient. You are here because the calendar of heaven says it is time. And when heaven marks a date on your life, no power on this earth or beneath it can erase what has been written. The enemy knows this too. He has been watching the same clock I have been watching. And his entire strategy right now depends on one single thing: keeping you distracted long enough to miss what God is placing directly in front of you. That is why this message carries such urgency. Not because the thing coming toward you is dangerous in the way the enemy wants you to believe. No. It is urgent because the window for preparation is narrow, and the one who enters prepared receives what was promised, while the one who enters unprepared spends the whole season just trying to find footing. I am giving you the footing right now. I am laying the ground beneath your next step before you even lift your foot. That is the kind of God you serve. He does not send you into storms without first anchoring your soul. So understand the shape of what is ahead. There is a season crossing the threshold of your life today that will test everything you thought you believed. Not to destroy your faith, but to reveal how deep it actually goes. There is a difference between faith that lives in your mouth and faith that lives in your marrow. And this season will show you which one you have been carrying. If it is only in your mouth, do not be afraid. I am going to move it deeper before the season reaches its peak. If it is already in your bones, then what is coming will only sharpen it into something the darkness cannot withstand. The adversary has already been laying traps along the road you are about to walk. He has been whispering to people around you. He has been arranging small frustrations, planting seeds of confusion, stirring old wounds that you thought were healed. He does this because he knows what is at the end of this road. He has read the blueprints of what God intends to build in your life, and it terrifies him. So his only play is to slow you down, to make you question yourself, to convince you that the pressure you are feeling is proof that you are failing. But I'm telling you right now, the pressure you feel is not punishment. It is the compression that happens just before something is released with force. Think about what a diamond looks like before it becomes what it was always meant to be. It sits in the dark, surrounded by pressure it never asked for, buried under weight it never chose. And yet every ounce of that pressure is doing something that could never happen on the surface. It is creating beauty that lasts, strength that cannot be faked, a brilliance that only emerges on the other side of compression. That is your life right now. You are in the press. And I need you to hear me clearly when I say this. The press is not your enemy. The press is your workshop. If this truth reaches the part of you that has been aching under the weight, if you feel in your spirit that these words are not random, but that they were aimed directly at your situation, what I need you to understand about the days ahead is that not everything will announce itself clearly. Some of what enters your season will come disguised as ordinary events. A conversation that seems small but carries enormous consequences. A decision that appears simple on the surface, but opens a door you cannot close once you walk through it. An encounter with someone whose presence rearranges something deep inside your priorities. You will need discernment like you have never needed it before, and I am sharpening that blade inside you even as I speak these words. There are also things that have been hidden from you, and this season will pull back the covering. Truths about situations you thought you understood completely. Realities about people you trusted without question. Facts about your own patterns that have been repeating beneath your awareness for years, cycling through the same invisible track like a wheel that never leaves its groove. When these hidden things surface, your first instinct will be shock. Your second instinct will be to push them back under the surface and pretend you never saw them. I am warning you. Do not do that. What rises to the surface in this season rises because it is time for it to be dealt with. Burying it again only guarantees it returns stronger, louder, and in a form you will find much harder to face. If this truth has reached the part of you that has been aching under the weight, if you feel in your spirit that these words are not random but were aimed directly at your situation today, speak the word Amen in the comments below. Let heaven know you received the call. The truth may sting when it first touches your eyes, but the sting is not the injury. The sting is the medicine. Every lie you release makes room for something real to take its place. Every false foundation you dismantle clears the ground for a structure that can actually hold the weight of what I am building over your life. Do not mourn the demolition. Celebrate the blueprint that survives it. I know there are moments when the removal feels like robbery. When something you leaned on gets pulled away and your knees buckle, and your heart cries out, wondering why the very God who promised provision would strip you down to nothing. But I am not stripping you down to nothing, my child. I am stripping you down to truth. And truth is the only foundation that does not crack when the weight of purpose lands on it. Everything I am taking was never strong enough to hold what I have planned for you. What remains after this pruning will astonish you with how much it can carry. Now hear me carefully about what happens when the ground beneath your certainty begins to shift. There will be days in this season when nothing feels stable. When plans you made with confidence fall apart before lunch. When words spoken by people you love land sideways and leave bruises you cannot explain. When the very air in your home feels heavier than it should. These are not signs that you are being abandoned. These are signs that the old arrangement of your life is being dismantled to make room for the new architecture that heaven has drawn up for you. I have been ahead of you for longer than you know. While you were sleeping through nights filled with worry, I was clearing obstacles from tomorrow's road. While you were pacing the floor, wondering if your prayers had been swallowed by silence, I was moving pieces into position that your eyes cannot see from where you stand. The answer was never absent. It was being assembled. And there is a difference between a prayer that receives no answer and a prayer whose answer requires construction before delivery. Every blueprint takes time to become a building. And I do not cut corners on what I build for the ones I love. Something else you need to grasp before this season deepens. The voice that has been telling you that you are behind schedule is a liar. The voice that whispers you missed your window, that your best years already passed, that the opportunities you fumbled cannot be rebuilt. That voice does not belong to heaven. I never operate on expired timelines. What I promised you is not sitting in some warehouse with a sold stamp on it. It is actively being prepared, shaped to fit the exact version of you that emerges from this pressing. And that version is almost ready. In the coming days, your patience will be tested in ways that feel almost personal. Answers you have been chasing will seem to pull further away just as you get close. Doors that appeared to be opening will pause halfway. People who promised movement will go silent. And the temptation will be to interpret stillness as rejection. But I am telling you, the pause is not rejection. The pause is positioning. Have you ever watched a river approach a dam? It gathers, it builds. It presses against the barrier with increasing force. And then, when the moment is right, when the pressure reaches the exact threshold, the release is explosive. That is what your waiting is building toward. Do not mistake the gathering for stagnation. The river that gives up before the dam breaks never knows how powerful it truly was. Your relationships will also shift during this window. People who stood beside you in the last season may begin to step back. Not all of them out of betrayal. Some of them simply because their assignment in your life has reached its completion. And I know that hurts. I know it feels like abandonment when someone who walked with you through fire suddenly stops matching your stride. But a traveling companion who was meant for one stretch of road cannot be forced into the next without both of you losing your way. Let them go with grace. Bless their departure. And trust that the ones arriving carry exactly what you need for the road ahead. At the same time, new faces will appear. Not always in dramatic fashion. Sometimes it will be someone you have known for years who suddenly shifts from the background to the foreground of your life. Their words will carry a weight they never carried before. Their presence will feel like a lamp in a room you did not realize had gone dim. Pay attention. I arrange encounters with precision that human planning could never achieve. The person I send will not always look like what you expected. They may arrive without credentials, without fanfare, without any of the markers your mind associates with importance. But their spirit will carry something you need, and your spirit will recognize it before your mind catches up. If what I am saying is landing on you with a weight you cannot deny, if something deep inside your spirit is responding to these words in a way that tells you this message was delivered to your ears, on purpose, press that like button right now. Let it be a marker between you and heaven that says, you heard the call and you are standing on it. Now pay close attention to what I'm about to say about the cycles that have been governing your life without your permission. There are patterns running beneath your daily choices that you have never fully seen. The same kind of argument repeating itself with different people. The same financial pressure arriving at the same time each year wearing a different mask. The same emotional collapse triggered by the same invisible wire that you trip over again and again without realizing it was ever there. This season is going to make those wires visible. Not to humiliate you, not to prove that you have been weak, but because a trap you can see is a trap you can disarm. When the cycle becomes visible, you will feel two things simultaneously. First, you will feel the shock of recognition. You will look backward through years of your life and suddenly see the same shape repeated dozens of times, and you will wonder how you missed it. Second, you will feel grief. Because seeing the pattern means facing how much time, energy, and tears were spent on something that was never moving you forward. Let both of those feelings pass through you. Do not camp in either one. Recognition is the diagnosis. Grief is the exhale after the diagnosis. But neither one is the cure. The cure begins when you bring the pattern to me and say, I see it now. Break it. And here's where I would need every fiber of your attention. This is the revelation that unlocks the rest of what I have to say today. What you have been calling your weakness is not weakness at all. It is an unfinished strength. The very thing the enemy has used to accuse you. The very behavior or reaction or vulnerability that he throws in your face every time you try to move forward. That thing is not your flaw. It is your uncut diamond. The reason it has felt like a wound is because it has never been processed. It has never been brought into the light where I can shape it. And an unprocessed strength behaves exactly like a weakness until the right hands get hold of it. Think about what that means for every accusation you have believed about yourself, every label you accepted, every verdict you pronounced over your own life in the dark hours when no one else was listening. Those verdicts were wrong, not because you are perfect, but because the evidence was incomplete. The prosecution presented its case without ever letting the defense speak. And I am the defense. I have been holding testimony about you that would overturn every guilty verdict the enemy ever filed. This season, that testimony enters the record. What has been whispering accusations at you from the shadows cannot survive in the open. And this is the season of opening. Every hidden thing dragged into daylight loses the power it held in the dark. Every chain that is named out loud begins to weaken at the link. You have been afraid to look at certain parts of your story because you thought looking would make them more real. But the opposite is true. Looking makes them less powerful. The monster under the bed is only terrifying as long as you refuse to lift the covers and see that it was never as large as its shadow suggested. Because what comes next will require something from you that you may not feel ready to give. But I am telling you that you are more ready than you know. The readiness you keep waiting to feel is not a feeling. It is a position. And you have been standing in it for longer than you realize. Every sleepless night, every tear you swallowed, every prayer you whispered into a ceiling that felt like concrete. All of it was building something inside you that comfort could never construct. You are not the same person who started this journey, and the fact that you cannot see the change only proves how deep it goes. Surface changes are obvious. Foundational changes are invisible until the day they hold weight that would have crushed the old foundation. I also want you to look backward for a moment. Look at the delays that made you weep. The prayers that seemed to bounce off the ceiling and fall at your feet unanswered. The opportunities that dissolved hours before you could reach them. Every one of those was a rescue disguised as a rejection. The door that would not open was not refusing you. It was protecting you from a room that was not yet finished being built. The timeline that bent away from your reach was not mocking your faith. It was waiting for a version of you strong enough to handle what was inside it. And now that version has arrived. So, when this new season asks you to wait again, and it will, meet the waiting differently. Meet it like someone who has seen the blueprint. Like someone who knows that every silent hour is an hour of construction happening in dimensions your eyes cannot access. The harvest does not come faster because you yell at the field. It comes when the roots have gone deep enough to hold what grows above them. And your roots, my child, have been growing deeper than you know. If this message feels like more than random words in a crowded feed, if something in your spirit recognizes the voice behind these sentences, subscribe to this channel right now so that the next time I send a word carrying this urgency, it finds you before the distraction of the world can steal the hour. I must also tell you this about the responsibility you feel settling on your shoulders as this season unfolds. The weight you are carrying is heavier than it was a year ago, and you have been interpreting that weight as burden. But I need you to change the word. It is not burden. It is trust. A master does not hand the greater assignment to the servant who stumbled with the smaller one. He gives it to the one who proved faithful when no one was applauding. When the task was unglamorous, when the only reward was the quiet satisfaction of knowing it was done well. That is what you have been doing in the hidden years. And now the assignment is scaling up, not because I want to crush you, but because I know, with absolute certainty, that you are ready for a load that would have flattened you 2 seasons ago. Carry it with steady steps. Do not rush under its weight, and do not resent its presence on your back. What feels heavy in your hands right now is the very thing someone else is praying to receive. Your assignment is someone else's answered prayer. And the day you step fully into it, both your life and theirs will never look the same. Now listen as I speak about what the coming days will ask of your trust. Not the trust that waits for evidence before it moves. Not the trust that only steps forward when the path is well lit and the map is fully drawn. I am talking about the trust that steps into complete darkness because it knows whose voice called it forward. That level of trust is what separates the season of survival from the season of breakthrough. And I am calling you into breakthrough. There will be a moment, and it is closer than you think, when everything your eyes show you contradicts everything my voice has spoken over your life. Your eyes will show you an empty account. My voice says, provision is en route. Your eyes will show you a closed door. My voice says the builder is still working on the room behind it. Your eyes will show you people walking away. My voice says the ones who stay are worth more than the 100 who left. And in that moment of contradiction, you will have to choose your eyes or my word, the evidence of the visible or the promise of the invisible. This is not a test of intelligence. It is a test of allegiance. And the one who stands on my word when the ground seems to disappear discovers that my word is the ground. This is the crossroads where many people turn back, not because the road gets harder, but because the road gets unfamiliar. And the human heart craves the known, even when the known is destroying it slowly. There is a strange comfort in patterns that hurt, because at least you know what to expect. But I did not create you for predictable suffering. I created you for purpose that stretches you beyond the borders of everything you have already survived. Let me tell you about the relationships that are about to be tested in your life. Not all bonds are meant to travel with you into your next season, and I know that truth carries a sharp edge. Some people who have been at your table will not be at the table I am setting for you ahead. This is not cruelty. This is curation. A gardener does not hate the branch that gets pruned. The gardener loves the tree enough to cut what is stealing nutrients from the parts that are meant to bear fruit. And some of the connections in your life have been consuming energy that was meant for your assignment. Watch carefully in the days ahead. People will begin to reveal themselves in ways they never have before. Some who wore masks of loyalty will let those masks slip, and what you see underneath will tell you everything you need to know. Do not be angry at what is revealed. Be grateful that you finally see it. A lie that is exposed is a lie that can no longer steer you, and some people will surprise you in the other direction. Someone you barely notice will step forward with a heart so genuine that it brings tears to your eyes. That person was always there. You just cannot see them through the crowd of louder voices. When the noise clears, the truest voices emerge. Pay attention to how your own heart responds during these shifts. You will be tempted to harden, to build walls higher than the ones that just came down, to decide that if people cannot be trusted, then no one gets close. I am warning you. That is the enemy's second trap. The first trap was the people who deceived you. The second trap is convincing you to shut out everyone, including the ones I sent to bless you. Do not let betrayal write the rules for your future relationships. Let wisdom write them instead. Wisdom does not close the gate. It puts a better guard at the door. Now I must speak to you about a deeper truth, one that many people spend their entire lives running from, and I want you to hear it with your whole spirit, not just the surface of your mind. The reason certain things keep recurring in your life is not that God forgot to fix them. It is that you have not yet been willing to look at the root. You have been cutting the branches, trimming the visible symptoms, managing the surface behavior. But the root is still alive under the ground, and every spring it sends up new growth that looks slightly different but comes from the same buried place. This season, I am handing you the shovel. Not to punish you with the digging, but because the root, once removed, sets free decades of trapped potential. Imagine how much energy you have spent managing a symptom that would have disappeared on its own if the root had been pulled. Imagine how many decisions were bent by a wound you never addressed. How many relationships were filtered through a lens that was cracked so long ago you forgot you were even wearing it. The digging will not be pleasant, but the freedom on the other side of it is something money cannot buy and comfort cannot replicate. If you can feel right now that heaven is actively rearranging the people, the circumstances, and the very ground beneath your life, type these words in the comments. I receive what God is preparing for me. Declare it out loud. Let the atmosphere around you hear it from your own mouth, because the moment you speak it, the spiritual climate around your situation begins to shift. There is one more thing about relationships I need you to hear before this season fully unfolds. Your honesty with yourself will be tested even more severely than your honesty with others. There are truths you have tucked into drawers inside your heart, sealed with labels that say, not now and maybe later. This season opens every drawer, not all at once but steadily, persistently, with the gentle force of water that eventually wears through stone. When those truths stand before you, undeniable and unhideable, do not treat them as enemies. They are messengers. They carry information about where you actually stand versus where you imagined you were standing. And the gap between those two positions is not a failure. It is a starting point. The person who looks honestly at where they are can navigate to where they need to be. The person who pretends they are already there wanders in circles, calling the scenery progress. I love you too much to let you wander, so I am placing mirrors in your path this season. You will see yourself clearly, perhaps for the first time, and what you see will not match the accusations the enemy has been filing, nor will it match the inflated image that pride sometimes constructs. What you see will be the truth, and the truth, once accepted, becomes the strongest launching pad you have ever stood on. Just as an uncut diamond cannot reveal its own brilliance, but needs the hands of a master to shape what was always inside it, this work of carrying heaven's voice to the places where it is needed most requires hands that are willing to hold it up. The message unfolding before you today was not assembled by accident. It was built in prayer and delivered with purpose, so that it would arrive at the exact door of the exact soul, at the exact hour their heart was finally ready to open. My child, I want you to consider planting a seed into this mission today. Whether through buying a coffee, making a small donation, or becoming a monthly member of this community through Ko-fi, every act of generosity becomes fuel for a calling that reaches souls sitting in their darkest hours. You can find the link in the description or the pinned comment below. What you give does not vanish into the air. It becomes light, carried into rooms you will never enter, falling on faces you will never see, landing in moments when a single word from heaven made the difference between surrender and survival. Your seed waters ground that your feet may never walk upon, but heaven records every drop and multiplies every offering. And with that truth settled in your spirit, let me press even deeper into what I've been preparing you to hear. Let me speak now about the emotions that will rise in you like tides during the season. There will be days when sadness arrives with no invitation and no explanation. Mornings when you wake with a heaviness in your chest that has no name. Evenings when tears fall, and you cannot even articulate what you are crying about. Do not be alarmed. These emotions are not your enemies. They are signals being sent from depths inside you that language has never reached. They are bringing old grief to the surface, not to drown you, but so that it can finally be released. A wound that weeps is a wound that is cleaning itself. A wound that stays dry and buried is a wound that festers in silence. When the wave of emotion rises, do not fight it and do not let it steer you. Stand still and let it pass through. Bring it to me in prayer, not with polished words, but with raw honesty. Tell me what you feel, even if what you feel contradicts what you believe. Your feelings are not your theology. They are messengers reporting from the front lines of a battle your conscious mind may not even know is happening. Once they deliver their report, I will show you what to do with it. But if you silence the messenger before the message arrives, you lose critical intelligence about what is happening inside your own walls. There will also be something you have been leaning on that begins to show cracks. A structure, a plan, a system you built around your life that once felt like bedrock. When you put weight on it now, it will shift. And that shifting will send panic through your body because you have organized entire years around its stability. Hear me when I say this. The cracking is not catastrophe. It is correction. I am showing you now, while you still have time, which parts of your foundation were built on sand so that you can rebuild them on rock before the greater weight arrives. A foundation that cracks under inspection is a foundation that would have collapsed under construction. Better to see the weakness now than to discover it when your entire future sits on top of it. If this revelation is striking your heart with a force you have waited your whole life to feel, then this is the moment to send it forward. Think of at least 3 people who have been calling themselves broken, who have been apologizing for the very gift God placed inside them. Send this message to them right now through your church prayer group, through a direct text to a friend who has been fighting alone, and let this truth reach them before the enemy convinces them the fight is already lost. This is also the season of simplification. You will feel a pull toward less noise, less obligation, less performance, less explaining yourself to people who have no authority over your journey. Follow that pull. It is not depression and it is not withdrawal. It is pruning. A vine that tries to grow in every direction simultaneously produces weak fruit on every branch. But a vine that is cut back, directed, focused, that vine produces fruit so heavy and so sweet that it bends the branch toward the ground. I am cutting you back so that what grows from you in the next season is undeniable. Some of what gets pruned will feel essential. You will resist letting go of commitments that once defined you, roles that gave you identity, habits that structured your days into a predictable rhythm. But I am not asking you to let go of who you are. I am asking you to let go of who you were, because that version of you cannot carry the weight of what I am building. A caterpillar does not carry its cocoon into flight. It was necessary for a time. It served its purpose completely. But it stays behind when the wings emerge. Your sense of timing will change during this period. There will be moments of sudden urgency when your spirit leaps with a knowing that says now. And there will be stretches of stillness when every fiber of your being wants to rush, but the heavens whisper, wait. Both rhythms are mine. The urgency is not anxiety. It is alignment with a window that I opened. The stillness is not delay. It is positioning before a release. Learn the difference between the two, because the person who confuses them either runs when they should be standing or stands when they should be running. Something will arrive disguised in familiar clothing. It will look like something you have seen before, and every instinct in your body will tell you to respond the way you always have. Stop. This is the test I have been preparing you for. The old reaction was survival. The new reaction is dominion. The old version of you would flinch. The new version of you will stand, and when you stand in that moment, you will feel something break behind you. Not in your life, in the spiritual realm. A chain that has been attached to your ankle for years will snap the moment you refuse to respond to the old trigger with the old answer. That is how cycles die. Not with a war, with a choice. And this is the charge I am issuing over your life today. The sealed door. I mentioned at the beginning of this message is not a metaphor. It is a real door in the spirit realm that has been locked over your destiny since before you had language to describe what was missing. Behind that door is the assignment you were born to carry. The relationship that was designed to match your spirit. The provision that answers every prayer you have whispered into pillows soaked with frustrated tears. The clarity that settles every question that has been spinning in your head for months, for years. That door has been sealed, not because you were unworthy, but because you were not yet ready for what it contains. And everything this season has been doing, every test, every exposure, every pruning, every cycle broken, and every truth faced, has been the process of making you ready. Today, I am giving you the key. But the key is not a formula or a magic sentence. The key is a decision. The decision to choose what is right over what is easy. The decision to walk the unfamiliar road because your purpose is not waiting for you on the safe one. The decision to trust my voice when your eyes are screaming at you to run in the opposite direction. That is the key. And the moment you turn it, the door does not just open, it vanishes. Because it was never a permanent barrier. It was a gate that only held until the right person arrived at the right time carrying the right posture of heart. You are that person. This is that time. And your heart, forged in the fires of this season, is carrying the right posture. Do not step back from this moment. Do not let the enormity of what I just said send you retreating into the comfort of hesitation. The enemy is counting on your hesitation right now. He knows the door is about to open, and his only remaining weapon is to make you question whether you're ready to walk through it. So he will replay every failure. He will amplify every doubt. He will remind you of every time you tried before and fell short. But here is what he cannot tell you because he does not have access to this information. I have already calculated the weight of what is behind that door. And I have already verified that the version of you standing here right now can carry it. Not the version of you from last year. Not the version from 5 years ago. This version. The one that survived the pressing, the pruning, the exposure, the breaking of chains that held you in patterns you never chose. This version of you was built for what comes next. So when your mind races with questions you cannot answer, when the road ahead looks darker than the road behind, when every rational argument says, turn back, and every comfortable instinct says, stay where you know the rules, remember this word. Remember that I told you this was coming. Remember that I described the pressure before you felt it. Remember that I named the cycles before you saw them. Remember that I gave you the key before you needed to use it. And know that the same voice that predicted every detail of this season is the same voice telling you now. What is on the other side of that door is worth every tear this season cost you. Your spiritual senses are sharper now than they have ever been. You will begin to know things before they are spoken. You will read rooms before the first word is said. You will feel the shift in atmospheres and recognize the difference between spaces that carry my presence and spaces that are simply decorated to imitate it. Do not doubt what your spirit tells you. I have been calibrating that sensitivity with every conversation, every prayer, every quiet moment when you chose to stay close to me instead of chasing the noise. What you are feeling is not imagination. It is intelligence, from a realm that operates above the frequency of human logic. If you can feel the courage building inside you right now, if something in your chest is rising up against the old fear that used to control your decisions, type these words in the comments. I choose to trust God's voice over my circumstances. Write it down. Say it aloud. Let the darkness hear your decision, because the moment you declare it, the atmosphere around your life begins to shift. Pay close attention in the coming days to how you react when pressure arrives. You will notice something different about yourself. Where anger used to erupt instantly, you will find a steadiness that surprises you. Where fear used to freeze your feet and steal your words, you will discover a calm authority flowing from a place inside you that the old version of you never had access to. This is the fruit of everything you have endured. Every night you spent praying instead of panicking. Every morning you chose to open your eyes and try again when everything inside you wanted to stay under the covers. Every time you chose obedience when disobedience would have been easier and no one was watching. All of it was building something structural inside your spirit that is now beginning to bear its weight. And the people around you will notice before you do. They will look at you differently. They will hear a new authority in your voice that was not there 6 months ago. They will feel something steady emanating from you that makes them want to stand closer. That is my presence, radiating through a vessel that finally stopped running long enough for me to settle inside it. There will come an hour, and it is near, when everything I have said in this message stops being preparation and starts being experience. The testing will no longer be theoretical. The emotions will no longer be gentle ripples, but will arrive as full waves. The choices will no longer be hypothetical, but will stand before you demanding an answer in real time. When that hour arrives, your body will know it. Something inside your chest will tighten. Your breathing will change. And the voice of fear will scream so loudly that you will wonder if my voice was ever real at all. I am telling you right now, ahead of time, so that when that moment lands, you will have an anchor that holds. My voice is real. My promise is active, and the door is open. The fear you feel in that moment is not proof that you are in danger. It is proof that you are at the threshold. And fear always screams loudest at the threshold, because the threshold is where its power ends. Once you step through, fear has no jurisdiction. It can scream from the other side of the door all it wants, but it cannot follow you into what I have prepared. Something in you must also settle before the final hour arrives. There is an honest look you have been avoiding, a truth about yourself that you have been negotiating with instead of accepting. This season will not let you negotiate any longer. The drawer will open on its own, and what comes out of it will not be the terrifying monster you imagined. It will be a child, a younger version of you holding a wound that never received its full measure of care. Look at that version of yourself with compassion. Do not scold it. Do not shame it. Do not tell it to grow up. Hold it. Speak over it what I speak over you. Tell it that it is safe. Tell it that the danger has passed. Tell it that the one who heard it does not have the final word. I do. And my word over that child, over you, over every version of you that has ever existed. My word is restoration. When you accept that truth, something remarkable happens in the spiritual atmosphere around your life. The heaviness lifts. Not all at once, but in layers, like fog burning off a lake in the early morning. First the edge is clear, then the middle. And then, suddenly you can see to the other shore, and what you see there is so breathtaking that you wonder how you ever lived with the fog at all. That clearing is coming for you. Not in some distant year. Not in a future so far away that it feels like a story told about someone else. It is coming in this season, within reach of the very hands that are listening to me right now. Your strength through this season has not been accidental. Every time you chose to keep walking when your legs begged to stop, every time you held your tongue when anger demanded you speak, every time you forgave someone who offered no apology and expected no consequence, you were building muscle in your spirit that the enemy counted on you never developing. He had a file on you. He had a record of every time you folded, every time you chose the easy path, every time the pressure made you retreat. And his entire strategy for this season was based on that old file. But the file is outdated. You are no longer the person those records describe. You have been changing in rooms the enemy has no access to, in the quiet of early mornings, in the honesty of midnight prayers, in the daily discipline of small obediences that no one celebrates and no one records except heaven. And when he brings the old playbook, the old trigger, the old trap, he is going to discover that it no longer fits. The lock has been changed. The code has been updated. The person standing at the door is not the person he prepared for. And that discovery will cost him every foothold he ever held in your life. And now, hear the final decree, that I am speaking over your life today with the full authority of heaven behind every syllable. You were not brought to this message by a random algorithm. You were not scrolling aimlessly when this appeared before your eyes. This was an appointment, marked on the heavenly calendar before your mother knew your name, scheduled for this specific day, this specific hour, this specific version of you that sits here right now with a heart tender enough to receive and a spirit sharp enough to act. I declare that every chain the enemy wrapped around your potential snaps at this word. I declare that every cycle that has been running unopposed beneath your awareness stops at this threshold. I declare that the sealed door over your life is no longer sealed. The key has been delivered. The preparation is complete, and the timing is now, not tomorrow, not when you feel more qualified, not when the circumstances improve. Today. Because I chose today, and what I choose is finished. Everything that is about to enter your season, the test, the truth, the pruning, the breakthrough, the door opening, the chains breaking, the fog lifting, the relationships aligning, the purpose clarifying, all of it has been measured against your strength and found to be manageable. Not easy. Manageable. Because I never promised you easy. I promised you victory. And there is no victory without a battle. There is no testimony without a test. There is no breakthrough without something to break through. And you, my child, have been equipped for exactly this. Let every force that has been whispering that you are not enough hear this from the throne room itself. You are not only enough, you are the specific person heaven selected for this assignment. Not because you had the perfect record. Not because you never fell. Because you stood up every single time you fell. And the one who keeps standing is the one who reaches the door. You have reached the door. This is your hour. Let me gather everything I have spoken over you today into one final embrace before I release you into the season that awaits. You were warned, not to frighten you but to equip you. You were shown the patterns so you could break them. You were shown the door so you could walk through it. You were given the key so that no lock in heaven or on earth could hold you back from what was written for you before the foundations of the world were laid. You carry more readiness in this moment than you have ever carried in your life. And the God who prepared you is the same God who walks beside you into whatever comes next. May the peace that does not depend on circumstances wrap around you like armor. May the courage that does not wait for perfect conditions rise in your chest like a flame that no wind can extinguish. May your eyes see clearly what others miss, and your heart remain soft enough to receive what your mind cannot yet explain. May every lie that clung to you fall away like dust shaken from a garment, and may every truth that I planted in you today grow roots so deep that no storm can ever uproot them. May you walk through the sealed door and find on the other side everything I promised, and more. This word you heard today was never meant to stay with you alone. Before you leave, I need you to do something that your future self will thank you for. Think of someone specific. A sister who has been crying when no one is looking. A friend who told you they feel stuck but cannot name what is holding them. A mother who carries the weight of her entire family and has forgotten that she is allowed to need help too. Send this message to at least 4 of those people right now through your Facebook group, through a text message to someone you have not reached out to in months. Let this word travel beyond this room and into the hands of someone whose sealed door has the same key. Now, I want to speak to your generosity one final time. This mission that brings the words of heaven to the ears of the weary, the broken, and the searching does not sustain itself. It runs on the faithfulness of people like you who understand that every seed planted into kingdom work returns a harvest that no earthly investment can match. If this message met you exactly where you needed to be met, if it answered a question you have been carrying in silence, consider supporting this work today through Ko-fi. Whether you become a monthly member, offer a one-time gift, or simply buy a coffee to keep the fire burning, you will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment. Every contribution becomes a bridge between heaven's voice and someone who has not yet heard it. Your seed does not end with you. It multiplies. And if you have not yet done so, subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. What I spoke today is the beginning of a conversation that will continue to unfold. The next message is already being prepared, and I need to know that when it arrives and it reaches you immediately. Do not leave this connection to chance. Seal it now so that the next time heaven sends an urgent word, you are already in position to receive it. Father in heaven, I bring this child before your throne right now, not with polished words, but with the raw honesty of a heart that has been opened by everything spoken today. Wrap your arms around every fear they carry. Place your hand over every wound that still aches. Let the chains that fell today stay broken, and let the door that opened today never close again. Give them the strength to walk forward, even when the road is not clear, the courage to choose right over easy, and the peace that passes every understanding to settle so deeply in their spirit that no force on earth can shake it loose. You who began this work in them will be faithful to complete it. Let it be so. Let it be done. And let it begin today. Amen.